Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. To my left we've got Scott, so hope you're alright.
Yeah, I'm good, Dan. I'm good, Dan. Better than Tuesday. Hope you're all right.
Yeah, I'm fine. Feeling on Monday. How are you feeling going into it?
Well, I don't know whether it is make or break now, depending on how the conversations went with Steve Cooper in the week. But obviously, keep saying it's another massive game that we've got to get something from. Whether it's is it going to be a game where are they already talking to? Are the club already talking to different managers, signing them out just in case they do lose, or is it a guarantee that win, lose or draw, Steve Cooper will still be in charge for the following game? So it feels like it's a bit of a call to arms to the supporters on Monday to get behind Steve Cooper, get behind the club. We've seen the atmosphere, West Ham, Spurs. It needs to go back to those levels on Monday night.
Yeah, definitely. They need to get really behind them on Monday because I mean there've been some reports this morning that players started feeling settled off. Well, in first morning about the players feeling settled, so the fact the players need that support from the fan base more than anything.
Yeah, I think so. It's obviously disappointing that we've lost, so many games. I think that Man City game really took the wind out of our sails, from a confidence perspective. Since that, they played against Spurs, they lost 2-0. They played well. The atmosphere was fantastic, but they don't seem to have recovered from that hammering at Man City. And I suppose it's just shown, I suppose, the flimsiness of the defence, which it was, yes, you're up against Haaland, and they put six past United, they're putting six past everybody at the minute, but it does feel that was a real, a bit of a knock for the confidence, particularly from a defending perspective, that they don't seem to have recovered from.
Yeah, I completely agree. That they're not really recovered from it. I mean, I don't feel it. We should sort of put the emphasis on making sure we get that clean sheet and making sure that we do it, do everything the right way. Then sort of so go for the win without shadow that, but making sure that we keep that clean sheet just to build confidence back up.
I think so. I think the performance is going to be huge on Monday, and I think if Forest had been losing by the odd goal, then I don't think we perhaps have this situation. I think it's the manner in which they're losing that they are crumbling, and I think that's what the ownership are going to struggle with, and ultimately that's what the fan base will struggle with. There's been resounding support for Cooper this week, which is brilliant. I think it's absolutely he needs to stay, but it's the manner, and I think Steve's got to help himself a little bit with probably trying to box a little bit more clever, and we're just not at that point perhaps of wanting of being able to play the way he wants us to play as a long-term vision.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, yeah, definitely that. I think he shouldn't get that at the minute, but now he's got that sort of he's here for the Villa game. That should really settle everyone down now and to be able to focus a lot more instead of seeing this and that in the press. And I know that they appointed the new sporting director.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not too sure what to make of that. It feels a little bit. I mean, he may well have been coming in anyway because it looks like he's got experience of the Premier League, and maybe that was happening. But I don't particularly like the rumours that Dave Murphy will be leaving. I think that's that seems harsh that there's been a fall guy out of this. I think it's a bit of a collective situation that we've had to buy players and we've had to buy a lot of them, and I think it's too early to judge the recruitment at the moment. Yes, we can say he's not playing well, but we're not in a groove yet. We haven't got a settled team yet. We're not in a groove. And I think once we're in a bit of a groove and we've played X amount of games, then I think then you can start to question the recruitment. But at the moment, I don't think you can. I think maybe some of the ones that join later may be a little bit questionable, as we were just trying to get more bodies through the door. But for a good part of the numbers that we brought in, they look solid signings, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Villa as well. I mean, they've got some quite decent players, but they've been a bit up and down with their form as well. I mean, they got obviously got Mins, well, not Mins, Ings. They got Watkins. They got McGinn. Players that could, and they're unbelievable. But they even struggled against 10-man leads last weekend.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that's going out of the window at the minute against Forest, because I think everybody at the moment in the Premier League will be wanting to play Forest at this point in time, because as we saw with Leicester, it's kind of that's probably kick-started their season. Well, it remains to be seen, but you would think that result probably has, knowing that East Midlands rivals and they've come away winning convincingly, and you could say that with to some extent with Bournemouth after getting hammered at Liverpool. They've kick-started their season with a win at Forest. So I think teams playing against Forest will be licking the lips at the minute, just because we're just too easy to play against at the minute. And I think that's the thing that Cooper's got to sort. Is we've got to be resolute, and whether it's a dull 0-0 or it's a cagey 1-1, we've got to do that at the moment. I just can't see us going toe to toe and winning games. And I think similarly to Leicester on Monday with James Maddison, they're going to have Coutinho, who was arguably an even better player. And if Forest don't get to grips with him and give him the kind of space that we gave Maddison on Monday, I fear that it will be a similar outcome. Oh, you're on mute, Dan.
Oops, I forgot to take myself off mute. But yeah, I completely agree with you that we do need to go back to being resolute and being hard to beat. And then when we go back to being hard to beat, then maybe then that we can start to show that sort of like fan up, go for the gears with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we've kind of it's almost resetting a little bit now and just putting the blocks in, the building blocks. They need to get a foundation laid of getting a settled team, and Cooper barely changed the team last season. As soon as he came in, it was pretty much that starting 11, and I guess it's inevitable with so many new players and so many mediocre performances at the minute that there's nobody really standing out to say, right, he's a definite starter. I think everybody at the minute, the places are, arguably up for grabs. And I think what we need to start seeing now is some characters starting to emerge now that, out of this new cohort of players that, they've had rough times, but in some respects, this is where you start to see characters emerging of who's up for it and who's not.
Yeah, definitely. They need to start to show that side of things. Two players that springs to man on that, and they've shown it more than enough last season. It's the Worrell and Yatesy. I mean, Yatesy came on one day where Worrell sat out there enough, and he came on and he shown that character against Fulham when how he played. So, do you think them two could come back in for the Villa, or would you keep that settled back four with?
Well, I think, you know, for me, I will bring Joe back into the fold. In terms of his development, I don't think Cup has done anything. He's not pulled up any trees since he's been back in. So for me, I would have Joe back in the team. Scott McKenna will probably be definite starter out of the centre backs. And then it just depends really. Is he going to go with the two or is he going to go with the three? Because I'm not hearing too much about Niakate of whether how far is he away at the moment. I think he is training, so it will be interesting to see whether there's an update on his availability. And I think at the minute, Yatesy came on Monday and was winning ball that we just weren't winning in the first half. And yes, Ryan, he's gone up a league, and it shows at the minute, that he hasn't played at that level, but he's only going to get better by playing games. And whether we can afford him that at the moment, that remains to be seen. But, I think Mangala and O'Brien have been our best midfielders so far. And I know Mangala's probably only played 180 minutes of football since he's played, but he's got the best, I would say, out of the bunch at the moment. So Mangala would be a definite starter. I thought O'Brien was unlucky to get subbed. I thought he was carrying Chiarte in the week, so O'Brien would be the other starter. And I think at the minute we've got to change. I think we've got to take that 10 out of the team at the moment, and whether that's going to be Freuler or Yatesy. Freuler, I thought did okay against Leicester. Just picking bits and bobs up of the ball and just giving it to a red shirt, and that's what we kind of need is just that bit of stability if somebody can go and fetch the ball. But I think the thing that Yatesy gives you, that if you're going to pay a solid three midfielders, that Yatesy can do box to box. He can get up and down. He probably gets up and down. I don't know. Maybe O'Brien could play in that role as well as a bit more of an attacking midfielder. But I think Mangala is. I think his best position is sitting and orchestrating the play. You on mute again, Dan? You muted yourself.
That tries now. Not quality that in. But yeah, I completely agree with that. To be fair, I would go with them too.
And then I'd like to see Toffolo back. To be honest, I don't think. I'm not sure about Loddy at the moment. We just look lightweight in the fullback positions, and I think if you're going to pay fullbacks, if he's not going to play wing backs, he's going to play fullbacks, then at the minute I would look to be taking Nico and Loddy out, and I will play. But Aurier did well when he came on; he looked solid. That's what we need. And then I would say Toffolo. Toffolo hadn't done anything wrong, I didn't think, in how he'd been playing. It was probably the arrival of an Atletico Madrid left back, Brazilian international, that has displaced him. But I think if you looked at the contributions of both players over the games that they've played, which is probably about 3 each now, is that I think Toffolo was, whether that's he's more adapted to English football and more suited at the moment. I'd quite like to see Toffolo back in the team.
Yeah. There was some. I can't remember where I read it, but someone put it out on social media saying that they thought very like that Toffolo is the better left back. But as you said there, it's because Toffolo more all-rounded, adapted to the leads, where Lodio probably used to one way of like Spanish league or where he has played, and there's that theory about Liverpool right backs at the minute. No, Trent can't defend. It's Nico falling into that sort of trap where attacking is mint, but defensively he needs to work on it.
And I think this is the kind of like the bit of the dilemma in those wide positions at the minute is that neither are offering much going forward, and I think that's predominantly why they're in the team. I can't fault the effort of Nico and Lodi. You can tell that the effort is there. It's definitely there. There's no lack of trying. But I just think we've got to be more compact and we've got to be more solid. And if that's what it takes, then to change those positions that we think actually is going to be more stable with a bit more experience there of English football, then I think that's what we need to do. And I would argue that Toffolo has looked more of a threat attacking as well.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. What's your score prediction for the game?
I'm always optimistic. It's not getting me anywhere at the minute, but I'll continue to be optimistic. Hopefully, in front of the lights, Pack City ground, hopefully the atmosphere is good. I think there's rumours of Forza trying to do something. So if you haven't donated a tenner, get donating to the Forza. Let's get these displays up and running.
Yeah,
And I think, we haven't seen that yet. And I think this is a right opportunity for the club as a whole that, look how far we've come in a year. Cooper needs the support. He's earned that chance to be supported. And the players need it because they're new, they're gelling, and they haven't really, let's give it full whack. Let's show them what we're made of as a fan base. They've had the taste of it, West Ham and Spurs, but I think there was a little bit of, we're back in the Prem and X, Y, and Z, but now we're up against it in the Prem. This needs support to go to an extra level.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it does that. Like you said, Force doing something. I read that as well, so I do get behind the Force things, and yeah, let's get behind them. So it's Munich and Madrid on Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Munich
Yeah.
Madrid.
Yeah. So I'd like to say thank you for coming on and talking.
No worries, Dan. Thank you.
So I'd like to say thank you for watching, guys, and up the forest.